as we set to investigate what a local farmer has uncovered on his farm. He believes that it could point to a blacksmithery, maybe a stagecoach stop, maybe even been involved in the Third Battle of Winchester. This episode, we're going to investigate that. Hello everybody, I'm on site now. I've come down next to the Opequon Creek. Okay, I've had my first real good hit. I've been mostly catching bullets here, a lot of rifle shells. So this could be that. It's reading about a 45 to 50 on my Garrett AT Pro. But let's see. All right, it's a button. It does have a shank on it. It looks like a brass button. I don't know what age it is. It's real thin. It's got the back on it, and it looks brass to me. So if you have any ideas, please comment. Okay, we're digging another hole here. I'm going to show you what we're finding. We're finding a lot of these rifle shells. They're reading about 68 to 75. So, you know, do you dig them or do you don't? Since I found that button, I'm tempted to dig everything. So, we'll probably spend another hour here. If all I find is more rifle shells, then we're going to go up to the upper field. All right. I have a pretty strong reading here in this hole. It's not very deep. In fact, it's only about 2 or 3 inches deep. We started earlier this morning down there by the Opequon Creek, and we only found the one button down there and a ton of rifle shells and bullets. We came up here, and it's not easy to keep these boys entertained. So anyway, we dug a hole here. It wasn't a high reading. It was actually around 50 or something, but it looks like I got a button here. So you can see it's real green. I don't know if that's patina, but it has the back on it still. It's a pretty button. Get up here where you can see it. It actually has a pattern on it. I'm going to have to get a toothpick for this. Okay, we have another button. I wanted to show you how my Garrett AT Pro is acting. We're on top of this hill here. I'm just going to give a panoramic because I think we may be on a house site here, and I'm not real sure, but I'm just going to give you a panoramic so you can see where we are. And here's kind of a high knoll here, and so it's a 360. And son, I want to have you show them. Pick up my metal detector. I mean, the ground is just choppy. And slow down right over here. Now we had to get. So this is the kind of tones we're getting. A lot of grunts, a lot of high tones, and we've been passing a lot of this up. And now I don't think I'm going to be able to, because this is the. I just dug up another button here. I don't know how old it is, but the back is still on it, and I'm going to show you We're not very deep here. We're only about 3 to 5 inches deep, so it makes me think that maybe it's not too old. Right here, here's a button. And I'm going to clean this up, and then I'll show you what it is. This is the button I just pulled out of that hole right there. It's not that deep, and it is a Scoville. So, actually, I didn't see this. I got to show you this. Now you can see what's on this side of the button. Beautiful. It's got an eagle and a shield. I think this side up here could actually be Civil War. I'm going to get some information on this button, but I think it could be Civil War era. Okay, we are hitting a hot spot. Very shallow, which is very surprising to me. My son and I, we hit another button. I'm almost certain it's a button. And it's actually only about 10 foot from the other button. So I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you how shallow these holes actually are. You can see the green patina here. This is all the deeper it is. I mean, it's no deeper than my hand. Okay, let me set this up. Yeah, it's got the back on it. It's got a pattern on it. Oh, it's got some bling. It's got some gold. It's got some gold on it. Let me clean this up. I'll get right back. Okay, I'm going to show a live dig here. These numbers are all over the board. Not typically things I would normally dig, but I'm hitting buttons and a lot of buttons. And they're all between 30 and 50, and I think we might have another button here. Try it. Oh, it's slow. Oh, it's right over here. Right there. Okay, I'm actually beginning to come to the conclusion that this was a Civil War, an encampment. I just did the live dig. I'm going to show you what I found. I pulled it out of the ground already. It is a fired musket ball, and it's round, and it hit something. But it is a fired musket ball. Hello everyone. I just pulled a plug here, and I think I found an old button or a washer, but I think it's an old button. Let me point to it here so you can see it. Right here it is. Nope. Actually, I don't think it's a button or a washer. It looks like it might be a small grommet. I don't know. It's reading brass though. It's not iron. What do you think it is? a shot lead bullet. Okay, I found this. Right here in this hole. It's not a mini ball, it's not a round musket ball, but it is lead, and I believe it is a bullet that was shot, and I think it could be Civil War era, and it could actually be a Civil War bullet that has been shot. This is an interesting find. I kind of wonder if there could have been scouts here. The Confederates held this high territory here, so I think there could have been a picket here hiding out in this barn, but I have no proof of that. All right, I'm getting a pretty choppy reading in this hole right here. Still up on this knoll, you can see, but I actually found something. It's the first I found, and the entire time I've been leaning towards this being a barn up here, and it still could be, but I found the first piece of, I don't know if it's an artifact, you consider a brick an artifact, but this brick is the first piece of brick that I found up here. Now this ground is real noisy. I mean, there's lots of stuff in here, lots of iron. In fact, there's so much iron it's hard to detect between the different readings. I really need a different kind of metal detector than what I have. But the brick is interesting and substantial to me. Could it be from a chimney? Could it be from the foundation? I don't know. There is a high knoll here, so maybe they backfilled this at some point in time. Let's continue. The Third Battle of Winchester, also known as the Battle of the Opequon, was the bloodiest battle ever fought in the Shenandoah Valley, producing more casualties than the entire 1862 Valley Campaign. The battle line covered a wide swath of farmland on the outskirts of Winchester that eventually concentrated into the city itself. With a total engagement of about 55,000 soldiers, it was no small skirmish. Union Major General Philip Sheridan moved his army of the Shenandoah, totaling some 39,000 Union soldiers, from Berryville, along the Berryville Pike, towards Confederate Lieutenant General Jubal Early's 14,000 soldiers, who had taken up defensive positions around the city of Winchester. The engagement began on September 19, 1864, when Sheridan's Union forces crossed the Opequon Creek and engaged Early's concentrated forces just outside the city limits of Winchester along the Berryville Pike. Future President Ruther B. Hayes fought under the command of Union Brigadier General George Crook and his Army of West Virginia, and assumed command of Duvall's division upon his death. Among the Confederate dead was Colonel George S. Patton Sr. His grandson and namesake would become the famous U.S. General of World War II, George S. Patton Jr. When the smoke cleared, nearly 9,000 dead or wounded soldiers from both sides lay scattered all over the ground. According to one soldier in the 12th Connecticut, who recalled, quote, "The dead and wounded were everywhere. The rebel dead lay thickly in the fields beyond and were piled upon each other. A ghastly row of gray-clad corpses lay along a wall, behind which some rebel brigade had evidently found shelter, and the fields and hillsides as far as Winchester were dotted with the fallen." End of quote. This battle would prove critical for the North, and permanently regaining control of the Shenandoah Valley and releasing the South's grip in the region. Okay, now that you've seen everything, what's the verdict? Did we find an old farm? Did we find an old blacksmith shop? Did we find a place for a carriage or a stagecoach stop? Or did we find a Civil War encampment, battlefield, or a picket? Could have been all of those things. I think from what we've found that it is definitely a farm, and I believe up on top of that hill was a barn, and I believe that there could have been scouts there from either the Union or the Confederacy occupying that, and that's what I think it is. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you on the next episode.